Outsiders SMP, as many of you already know, is a lore SMP inspired by the Maze Runner franchise written by James DASHNER. Since then, the main 3 books have been made into movies, and 3 side books have been written: The Kill Order, Crank Palace, and The Fever Code, respectively. Outsiders is based on the first book so far, where in a post-apocalyptic world, teenagers have been sent into a maze to see how they react, to see how they act, to see how they survive, and to see what makes them different, what makes them immune. Now, Outsiders is clearly not set in the same universe as the mainstream books and movies. This is obvious due to the existence of districts, angels, demons, etc. What this means is that we have very little information and knowledge about the characters themselves and the outside world in this universe. Me and a couple of other small Minecraft CCs decided to make a method to the madness, to explain just what's going on and just who everyone is. Because, frankly, we don't have enough information. We are not claiming any of these theories to be correct. We have just watched the episodes, we've rewatched certain parts to prove parts of our theories, but these are far from correct or proven. These are just speculation based on unproven fact. But first, an introduction. Hey, I'm Appleton, a new teenage Minecraft CC who mainly streams modded Minecraft. Me and 3 other CCs, me, Mac, Rocky, RP, and Makeda, got together on these theories. There will be a link to mine there in the description. If you notice any holes in these theories, have any questions, or have your own theory you'd like us to discuss, please comment below. If you're on the SMP yourself, it'd be nice to know if any of our theories were close in the slightest. But without further ado, let's get started. First thing I would like to discuss is the possible purposes of the maze. Now, we know in the original books what happened. Immune and non-immune kids were put in this maze to see how they reacted in different scenarios. But there are other possibilities as well, due to this being an alternate reality. The maze could very well be a containment unit. Whatever is outside those walls, whether it's a disease or something completely different, and kills people, and some company has found a way to stop it and is now selling it for exorbitant prices. And somehow these kids are a threat to them. Maybe they know something they shouldn't. Maybe they can create it without such exorbitant prices, and these companies, if these kids are around, can no longer charge an arm and a leg for whatever this thing is. Maybe it's a repellent for some sort of organism. Maybe it's a cure. We have all seen those giant signs in the maze that look like they've been written in blood. The one that says leave. The little writing near the entrance of the maze that they found on the first day that says run. The journal inside the maze is that asked Owen to run and begged him almost desperately. Perhaps this is protection, though. This is the third theory. And the grievers only exist to scare people. This could be how Squidney survived in the maze, because she had no experience and only teamed up with one person, Angel, who we have no backstory on, so could very well be someone incredible. We have separate theories on Angel that will be reviewed later in the video. But doesn't that seem just a little fishy? If Angel's just a normal person, maybe a survivor of some kind, that could be why she survived. It could be just because they don't want to kill her because it's protection. Of course, the only problem with this theory is the clearing too. It got completely annihilated by a griever, which we know is controlled by the people who control the maze. So, other than there is really no way this theory really works, and it is much more likely to be one of the other 2 theories, but the reason they could be shifting the maze is to make them not lose hope, to make it so they don't know that there's no way out. One last theory for the leave sign will be established on later in the video, and it is related to the giant skeleton that Moe found, which I'm going to go over next. If you don't know, in one of the earlier episodes of Outside SMP, Oweka found a giant skeleton thing under the clearing and showed it to Moe, who then showed it to Owen. We know very, very little about this creature. It has at least 6 legs, which means it's either an insect or an arachnid, and it could have more, which is why it has a possibility of being a spider. This thing may be linked in some way to at least Owen's people. In one of his flashbacks, his mentor, who was probably his father, that mentioned that his string was from spider silk, and the quote, which he said it was from the massive ones. Now, these could just be your everyday normal Minecraft spider, because those would be massive compared to normal spiders. But if they're living in a Minecraft world, right, wouldn't those normal spiders be commonplace? Whereas a spider the size of the thing down there, now that would truly be a massive one. It very much looked like it was trying to climb up. In this theory, it may have been that this thing destroyed Owen's people, because it was mentioned a watchman. You don't have a watchman without something to watch for. Maybe these watchmen chose to watching for this thing. This thing might have been kept back till Owen's people until it became too strong, and maybe a whole group of them attacked, and they couldn't them, and now the world's infested with these giant spider things. I don't know. Perhaps a group from one of the first groups in the maze, because we know there have been people before due to the skulls, the little buildings in the maze, and they got out, but they all died soon, and when they were retreating back into the maze to escape from these creatures, accidentally got one in, and this thing, as we can see, is very much bigger than the Grievers. It would have skewered them and ate them for lunch. And now this thing could have came in and killed the other clearings. It could have absolutely annihilated them, because most everyone would be dead, and maybe one survivor, who could still be around, and I have a theory for this particular person, and buried it underground after killing it, and buried it alive, and that's why it's trying to climb out. This person is unlikely to be Warman himself, just due to the fact that I believe Warman is Nico, the other person from the last person on the Blood Wall. Well, that's what we call it. And if it is Nico, then he hasn't been there this long. This person could very well work with him. I'm not saying that's not a possibility. But my last little piece of evidence is the cobwebs. There are cobwebs everywhere in the maze, everywhere in the clearings before they came. And what makes the webs? Spiders. Spiders do. Okay, next I'm going to go through the 3 clearings that have been found and the one that I believe is still out there. Now, we know there are at least 3 clearings. The first clearing, the Annihilated clearing, and the Weird Dead Demon clearing. Now I believe the current outsiders are the second to use this maze. This is pretty obvious. All the bones everywhere, the skulls, the ruins, etc. Now I believe they did it slightly differently the first time around. 2 human clearings, the main 2. Owen's clearing and the Annihilated one. 1 demon clearing, Akko and Kyle's, and 1 angel clearing. Now, this hasn't been found yet. This has no proof other than the fact that we found 2 human clearings and a demon clearing, and it is entirely speculated, and my only proof is angel. Now, all of these clearings got wiped out by something. Maybe the giant creature under the first clearing that I mentioned in the past theory. Now, but I don't think they got completely wiped out. I think there was 1 person left. Just Angel. That could explain how she got Squidney through. She'd been living in the maze all this time because she was too scared to go back to her clearing because of that, and knew her way around the maze. There is no way in hell Squidney could have survived that long in the maze with just an amateur to help her, if that's what just Angel was. We also know basically nothing about where Angel came from, and she could very well be a survivor from the first group. Now, of course, the clearings are now mixed species. The people that made the maze clearly saw why separated species don't work. Now it's clear that the 2 main clearings don't trust each other too much, which is fair because half of them did get annihilated. No, it was not Apo, and I have proof. That we will get into, probably it's the last thing in the video. Okay. The strangest thing, though, is the distinct lack of both demons and angels from the second clearing. The only non-human we have may be Magic, which I'm pretty stumped on what she is. If she isn't human, which is a stretch, because she probably is, the only evidence I have that she isn't human is 2 multicolored spots underneath her eyes, 2 multicolored spots above the little apron she wears. As I haven't found any sort of mythological creature which matched the description. And I looked really hard. For once, I can't think of an explanation for this other than they all died to the Griever. And that feels kind of convenient. Maybe they decided to have 1 mixed clearing and then 1 of each of the others. Although to be fair, we have only had 2 people from what I think is the demon clearing with the red trees and all that, being Akko and Kyle, who are both humans. So that is a kind of on the edge theory. Next, I'd like to move on to the different races, of which there are 3. As we know, there are 3 different species in outside SMP. Humans, demons, and angels. The demons are Guts and Red, with Raspberry and Apple being half demons. And the angels are Ori and Angel. Now, everyone except maybe Magic is human, and we've already gone over here. I think we all know what humans are. Let's move on. Now, demons and angels are interesting. As you know, in mythology, demons are 99% of the time evil, while angels are 99% of the time good. I believe Outsiders SMP decided, hey, let's flip this on its head in a very, very interesting way. Look at the demons and look at the angels. The angels are Ori and Angel, and the demons are Raspberry, Apple, Guts, and Red. Now, notice how the demons are, for the most part, all good people. Ignore Apple and have a separate theory concerning him and the Leffers. And now look at the angels. Ori, biggest hypocrite on the planet, is avoiding punishment for pulling the first lever, and is running into the maze alone against the group's wishes. Angel, all I have to say, that is possibly the worst advice in existence. I wouldn't necessarily say bad people, I'd say not the best people. But this isn't everything. Ori wholeheartedly believed that what he was doing is for the greater good, to unite the clearing under a common enemy. Yet what he did only destabilized him more, making people take sides over what to do about him. Angel probably believes that her advice was for the best, but bottling up your feelings is the last thing one needs to do as a leader. Yes, sometimes you need to ignore your feelings for a short time to get a job done, but doing it for long periods of time is incredibly unhealthy for his mental state, and will likely make him much less effective. So, angels believe they are good, yet they are actually not the best people, and what they are doing actually destabilizes things for the most part. Now let's see if the flip side is true for demons. When Guts was hiding down in the bunker with Owen when the Griever came in their clearing, she said, "Sometimes I trust humans less than I trust demons." This was the base point of this theory, to be honest. This implied that the general stereotype for demons is that they are, at the very least, untrustworthy, maybe even evil, yet, for some reason, these are some of the best people in the clearing. I have provided evidence for each individual demon on why they are, well, a good person, and how they believe they are evil. So, first of all, Guts. Guts is shy and retiring, much like Raspberry, almost as if she's nervous. Now, why would somebody be like that be nervous? Well, it might be because she's scared that somebody is going to find out, and I say that with heavy quotation marks, because this is just all in her head, that she is evil, with quotation marks again. And my second piece of, when she was talking about Apple, when they were talking about punishing Apple, did you notice her voice? She was collapsing. She was getting absolutely, just over the top, upset. This could very easily be because, one of her kin just, maybe murdered an entire clearing. But it also could be because she felt obligated to support the worst punishment, because she believes she's evil, which is, of course, death. But she herself doesn't believe it. She doesn't actually want to do that. Then there's Raspberry. Like I mentioned, she's very shy. She's very much like, I don't really want to interact with people. Nervous. Probably the same reason as Guts. I don't have any extra evidence here. Red. Okay, this guy can be a jerk sometimes, just randomly hitting cows and stuff. But when he does his weird jerk stuff, it's always around other humans, not demons. I've watched his episodes, and it's always been around other humans. He never does this stuff around demons, because he probably knows that these people believe the same way as he does, and he doesn't have anything to prove. And he does it around humans because he believes he has to prove that he's evil, even though he's actually a good guy most of the time. He's just trying to convince himself and other people that he is evil. And now we get to Apple. He did not pull the lever. I have evidence for this, which will be explained shortly, because I experimented with it myself, and Apple could not physically have pulled it. But when Squidney blamed him, because she knew it wasn't Raspberry, because she could see Raspberry right there, she knew it wasn't her, because of course she hasn't done it, he went along with it, because it fitted with his view of himself. Deep down there, even when your memories are erased, even when everything you know about yourself is gone, you've been taught since birth you are bad. You are evil. That is now a part of your core personality, and it's not something that can just be erased with memories. It's a part of you. If your personalities were erased, Gracie wouldn't be nice. If your personalities were erased, Aleka wouldn't be a jerk. And if your personality was erased, at least Apo wouldn't have gone along with it. He would have kept fighting because he knew he didn't. And the next compilation of theories is going to be Storm in a Teacup. Let's talk about levers. I will give it to you right now. From where Apo was standing, he could not have physically pulled the lever. Before I get a, oh, what if he just moved forward? I tested it. It's not possible for him to have pulled the lever from a spot where Raspberry and Squidney didn't see him, and move only one step to get in the position he is in the scene when the Griever door opens. And yes, it is shown he only moves one step between when the lever goes down and when he runs from the Griever. Also, he couldn't have covered the distance in time. The lever went down less than a second after we see Apo's position, which is 6 blocks away exactly. He could have sprinted, but then Raspberry would have clearly seen him, and he wouldn't be able to get in the same position he's shown in for the scene when the Griever comes out, not without taking more than one step, and he'd still have momentum, so he would have gone further forward. Now we've proven Apo couldn't have done it on it, let's talk about the other two. The filming distance shows 1 block, then a 1 block hole, and it's shown behind that hole and 1 more block, there's Raspberry. Now Squidney can't pull the lever from where she's standing at, and if she moved, she couldn't have gotten in the position she was in for the releasing Grievous scene afterwards, and Raspberry would have seen her. Now this only leaves Raspberry. Like I said, she's about 4 blocks away to pull the lever. Also, literally nobody blamed her, and she was in front of everybody. And my last piece of evidence for why none of them pulled it is because if you're going to go pull that lever, right? Why would you do it while there's 2 other people around? Why wouldn't you just wait? You go back to the clearing, all 3 of you, and then you go back in later and pull the lever when nobody's watching, come back out before anybody realizes you're gone, and then the lever is pulled and nobody knows it's you. And yet, he chooses the time where everybody could see them running in and there were 2 witnesses? Come on. Why would you do it then? If he really wanted to pull the lever, he would have waited. He would have thought about it. Come on. Now, you might be confused because, I just told you it's not possible for anyone to have pulled the lever. What I believed happened is that when the first lever it pulls, it sets off a time trigger, and when that timer runs out, the second lever goes down. For the question of why Squidney ran in the maze, it was likely because of the zinc in her cabin. To explain, she was likely using the zinc to repair her goggles. Some of it may have got into a cut. Zinc can cause extreme headaches, and when people are in pain, some can see hallucinations or feel compulsions. That is likely why she ran in. Now, back to the time trigger. I have no real evidence of this. It's just that I have proven that nobody could have pulled it. So if anyone has any ideas other than this time trigger idea, please feel free to share below, because I'm really stumped on it. Hey, this is Ghost of Editing Future. This original script was written immediately after Owen's beach episode release, but during the production of this video, another Outside SMP episode came out, so I would like to address that video and adjust some of my theories accordingly. First of all, Angel's name was seen on the blood wall of the second clearing, our first look at it, and I still don't believe she's originally from that clearing. I still believe she is the last survivor of that Angel clearing, but it gave birth to a new theory about how she could have been the first person in that clearing, as we don't know who that actually was, and it could have appeared that with the rest of the names, and she could have found that clearing and said to everybody else she came up in the box first because she didn't want anybody else getting suspicious. Secondly is the thing about Beck pulling the lever and then tying up Magic, which is messed up. But anyway, this could be one of 2 scenarios. Either both levers need to be down for the doors to open. Pulling a lever lets a Griever into your Grievous into your area. So either I still believe it's a time trigger, by the way, but it means that, as we know now, that none of the people could have pulled the lever. That it's likely on a time trigger, or that when Beck pulled the lever in her clearing, it automatically made the other one go down and let Grievers into both sectors, but since the doors of clearing 2 don't work, the Griever got into clearing 2 and killed everybody. So that means likely that even if Apo did pull it, which is very unlikely, he couldn't have killed the second clearing. All he could have done is let Grievers into clearing 1's maze area. They only come out at night, so it's not the end of the world anyway. So yeah. Now, finally, in terms of districts, I really have no ideas. They have been mentioned only once or twice and never elaborated on, and are likely just areas throughout the world / wherever this is based that people live in. Now, for a wrap-up, I'd like you to point out any problems with our theories, any questions you may have about them, or your own theories, and I may end up making a follow-up episode to this. Any theory you make, you will be credited. I'm not going to steal theories or anything, but for now, I'm going to end it there. Bye.